Okay, I'm live, and I'm actually using the new YouTube stream thing, so don't ask me how it's going to turn out. I was actually hoping to be able to switch cameras. I'm not sure how I would do that because I've got, let me see, it's very restricted. I can say, hang on, a very restricted thing that I've got here going on. Let me just try something. I don't know what that is. So if something goes off, hi Surfer Rosa, if something goes off, don't worry. I'll just go through the Google one. This is the one for YouTube. So, no, that's not good. Let me see what this. Okay, well that muted my microphone. So it's not showing me. Where are we? I don't even know how this would even. You have to bear with me for a moment. I'm trying to get my head around this YouTube thing that I've got here. No, I don't want to leave that. Oh, gee, it's so foreign. So good evening, everybody. It is 9:45 here in Sydney. I hope you can hear me well and there's no crackling or anything going on. It seems like my volume is a little low by the looks of it. Let me see if I can turn this up. Okay, so that looks like it's on high. Okay, now I'm not sure how this stream's going to go. I know that Order can't be on. He's actually got an appointment he's got to go to, so it's minus Order tonight. But I'll just give a quick shout out to everybody. We have Psygnosis, we have Surfer Rosa, Liz Hall, Raven Wolf, James Palmer, and that's all for at the moment. We have 9 watching, so hopefully you're a part of this. Hello, Janice. Now, I wanted to talk about, I was hoping that Riley would be on, but what do you do? I was going to talk about, or I'm still going to, talk about aliens. And one thing that's quite fascinating when you think about alien life, you've got people out there who they might say, oh, I don't believe in spirits and stuff like that, but I believe in aliens. Or I don't believe in God, but I believe in aliens. So where is that line drawn? I was actually watching a few videos in my spare time tonight and just listening to some of the topics that people were talking about, some of the amazing things that they've actually captured on camera, listening to the feedback and, why isn't NASA doing it? And then I heard on another stream, or it wasn't actually a stream, it was actually another video, a lady talking about these things that are deep in the Antarctic. Now, I don't know whether anyone has heard of them. I should have wrote their name down, but at the time I was getting ready. I wasn't even I didn't have a pen and paper with me. But they are actually sending these signals out through, and this is apparently going on, so it's a little bit alarming. What they did for 2 days, they ran this heat down into the middle of the ice in the Antarctic, and that melted the actual ice, and they dropped these things that almost look very alien-like, these probe things into the water, through the ice basically. And that signal goes across the whole world. And they said that if you hold up a thumb, within 1 second of holding up your thumb, all these little atoms have gone through that and they're scouring the whole universe. Now, that's somewhat a little scary, because how do we know that these things aren't cancer causing? How do we know that they're not affecting the ecosystem? How do we know that's not also a part of why our life is getting stuffed up, for want of a better word, because of all these things? I mean, look, it's great that they're able to have this type of stuff out there to be able to communicate with the world and what's beyond the world, and that's what the whole point of this is. And they said that they were getting signals back which were not human, that were not classified as being a part of our planet. So I believe that, like everything, look, every universe out there, or every planet in the universe, I should say, is linked somehow. You think about how everything complements each other. We have water in our body, yet we have to sustain it by drinking more water because we sweat it out of our pores. We have the energy of spirit, which is made up of many particles, as we are anyway. The only thing is that we're more of a solid type of formation. And then we've got people discovering things like objects that are not from this world. We have to ask, okay, so who or what is behind all this? We've heard of abductions. I don't know whether anyone watched that movie, Fire in the Sky, based on a true account of a man who was abducted by aliens. And there are so many people out there, and they actually go out looking, hunting for this experience. There are people that, if you said, you know, what would you do if you came face to face with an alien or a spaceship or anything like that, and they said, I want to be abducted? That desire must be linked somehow to something we as a human race already have instinctively known previously. It's like we have instincts of fear, we have instincts of love, we have instincts of feelings, that type of thing. And it was, yes, I agree, E.V.P paranormal science, that was even stated by the man himself, who was the person said to be abducted. He said it was very dramatic, over dramatized, but that's how movies are. So understandably, they've got to sell movies. They're not going to have anything too exciting if it's boring. But he said that there was, like that part where he's lifted by the light. He said he was tossed about like a rag doll. He said, but they only showed him being like thrown down. He said, but he was tossed about. But I remember as a kid, I was coming back from a night with my grandmother and my mother. I was sitting in the back seat of the car and looking out the window, as you do when you're a kid. You're just watching, it was nighttime. And there's a part where there's an old factory. Everything is just all a massive land, open space, factories around it. And what was interesting also, there was a comment that I found elsewhere that where there are like plants, not plants as in plants, but plant stations, that there's a lot of, they seem to have what they call a lot of activity which is out of this world. Like they've noticed strange lights, they've noticed the orbs of light, that type of thing. Not far from where we used to live was actually a plant station type of thing where they had the fossil fuel and everything. And this was near a residential area, and it's around Sydney. So it was quite frightening, especially when the siren would go when the flames got too high out of the actual thing. You'd hear this, and everyone would think, oh, my God, it's like one of those movies where you've got to go into the bunker or something. It's that kind of siren noise. But that was the siren because of the fact that these flame would get a certain height above what it was supposed to or allowed. But, yeah, fascinating stuff. But this particular night when I was in the car with my parents, or my mother and my grandmother, we were driving along. I was looking out the window right opposite this big vacant land, which wasn't actually vacant per se, but there was like this big land between this place where there's a lot of stuff to do with petrol and petroleum and stuff like that. There was a railway track. And so I'm just looking at the railway track because up ahead we had the old railway thing that lifted and it made the, you know, the bell noise and everything like that. And I was fascinated with trains as a kid. I should have been a boy. But anyway, this particular night, I noticed in the sky where there's like triangle shape, but it wasn't like that I could see a triangle shape. I could see these lights. They looked like stars, but they formed what looked like a triangle. And I was just fascinated by it. I'm thinking, oh, how pretty is that? You know, like I thought it was part of, you know, like Milky Way kind of thing. And because I didn't know much about stars or what have you. Anyway, this particular night, I'm watching these things. We're at the lights. We're stationary. And, yes, I'm going to get to that. Anyway, next minute, I noticed one of them went across and then up, and then it just went poof like this and disappeared. The next one that I saw went almost mimicking in the same way. That went across and then whoosh out. And I'm staring at these things thinking, wow, look at those shooting stars. Stupid kid. And my mother said, oh, my God, that's not shooting stars. They look like bloody aliens. And my mother's a very dinky-type person. So it was quite confronting but exciting and adrenaline. And then before this, though, it was quite weird because I remember having many, many dreams as a child, and I just put them down as dreams. I would find myself walking out of my grandmother's house because at that time we were living with my grandparents. I walked out on the veranda and I'm looking up at the sky and I could see the sky. It was like it was moving. It was completely alive. The sky was alive. I could see the clouds moving. I could see, it was like if I were up there, I would have been like caught up in things. That's how alive the sky looked. And it was really, really bizarre because then I would actually see these things go by. And I thought, I just kept referring to, they're my friends. But it was a dream. To me, it was just a dream. Anyway, cut a long story short, I used to then have these dreams where I would see this tiny, really tiny, orb-sized UFO come to the front door, go through the front door, and then come into my room. And I mean, I must have had a pretty good imagination as a kid because all I kept thinking is, that's a dream, that's a dream. But then on one particular occasion, I'm much older, much more wiser, and I've got my daughter, who was at that time probably almost 2 years of age, having her afternoon nap. So I go in and I decide I'm going to have a nap on the lounge. Well, I could hardly get myself off to sleep. And I noticed, like, I had my eyes closed, but I knew I was awake. And I noticed what looked like blobs of liquid coming through the ceiling. And, of course, because I'm seeing this with my eyes partially closed, I'm thinking, have I got a leak? And the weird thing was, something told me, just keep your eyes closed. Don't open them. Don't look directly at this. And I thought, okay. Then I noticed there was another one, and they just came down like blobs and then formed in front of me. And they were very tall. They were very, what is this? They were very tall. They had what looked like almost a snake kind of skin. They weren't like staring right over me, but they came around me, and I don't know what happened. I think I just let out a scream, and then next minute I sat up, and it was like these things just vaporized before my eyes, and it was so confronting. And one day I was telling a lady who lived next door, because I was in a unit at that time, and I said to her, I had the most weirdest experience, blah, 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 and was telling her about it. She said, oh, my God. And she called her husband, Larry. She said, Larry, come here. You tell him what you just told me. And I got goosebumps straight away. And he said to me that when he was living in Malta, he grew up there, he had an experience like that. He said, you're lucky you didn't open your eyes fully. And I said, why? And I'm thinking, this is so weird, because something was telling me, don't open your eyes completely. Don't completely look at them. Don't let them know you're seeing what's going on. And I just listened to him, and he said, I got taken. He said, I know you're probably going to laugh at me. He said, but I got taken. And he said, I'm not crazy. He just kept reassuring me, I'm not crazy. He said, I got taken. He said, and no one believed me. Nobody believed me. They just thought I went missing. He was gone for 2 weeks, and he came back, and he said that all down his arms he had bad scars, and they said he must have got it from, like, trying to find his way back, because there was like a great area of trees and everything like that near him. And he even stated that with the trees there, they could never grow right. He said they could never grow right. And then it's so interesting, because I was watching a episode the other day about that interview with the guy from Fire in the Sky, and he said that when they cut the trees, there is a part of the trees that actually either grew faster than the natural side. The side where this craft was, apparently, the growth rate was much higher than that of the other side of the tree. So I don't know whether that's what Larry had meant at the time, but it was so weird. But getting back to my situation, when I told him about the experience, he said, if I had opened my eyes fully, I could have been taken. He said, because that's how they approach you. And he said, they don't want you to really see them. And if you see them, then, you have to go with them. He said, there's no choice. But I also remember there was one dream that I had, and I'm looking up what looks like a window, but to me it was more like a portal, like you would have in the ship kind of thing, not a spaceship, but I would think like a boat ship kind of thing. And I went past. Now, remember, my birth name was Angela. My name was not Karen at that time. I went past this area which showed a cemetery, and there was my mother's name and there was my name, and it was on a plaque. But I'm thinking, who is Karen? Who's Karen next to my mother's name? Is that a sister I'm going to have? And I knew that was my mother's name because I could see her name clear. I could see it clear, but I wasn't physically out there. I was looking through this portal thing. So I don't know what was going on, but all I can think of is it wasn't until later in my years when I decided, I could legally change my name because I never liked my name. It wasn't until I was retelling my story to somebody, I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm Karen. I'm the Karen that I saw. And I thought, I can't recall the date that was on that thing because I was like racking my brain trying to think, well, what was the date? What was the date of my mother's, thing? What was the date that was on my, because like I was shown into the future. And the weird thing was the headstone was small. And what's interesting is when I bought the plot for my mother's ashes and mine, because I'm going to be cremated, we got like a family plot, my grandmother, grandfather, auntie, uncles, and myself and my mother. And here was this tiny, like a headstone, but it was like a plaque, and they had the other side ready for me. And it looks like a tiny little headstone. I thought, oh my God, that is what I saw. And it sort of took me back a bit, because I'm thinking, this was so freaky. This was so bloody freaky to see this. And I knew this before, but I didn't comprehend. All I kept thinking is, who is this Karen? Who's this Karen next to my mother's name? It just didn't make any sense to me. So there you go. And it wasn't until I was much older that I realized, hey, that's me. So there you go. And at that time, I didn't know whether I was going to choose to be cremated or what the story. I didn't even think about that. Like as you're young, you don't think about dying. You try not to anyway. But it was actually quite scary. When I think back, all I'm thinking is, who is this Karen with my mother? And I'm thinking that might be a sister that I'm going to have. Or this might be someone else in the family I don't know of. And even when I came out, which I believed was a dream, I said to my mum, who's Karen? She said, I don't know any Karen. And I said, but there was a Karen with you. And she said, what do you mean with me? And I said, I don't know how to tell you. And she never talked about, how she wanted to be buried or anything like that. And I said, I saw a really tiny, tiny grave. And then I started seeing more details. Now I could see what looked like flowers. I could see what looked like a building behind, and what looked like cement, lots of cement, lots of dark cement. And the other day when I was at my mother's grave, reflecting, like, talking and visiting, it hit me right next to where she is, right behind her. It's a rose garden. And right behind her, where you park your car, behind that, or on the other side of the road, is the building where the reception is, and the church area, like where they had the ceremonies. And that was in my dream. So whether I was at one point in my life taken, I mean, I don't think I was, but how else could I explain looking out of what looked like a ship porthole? And why would a ship be in that area? I mean, there's no water near there. It's in an area called Liverpool Cemetery. So Liverpool Cemetery is basically pretty much suburbia. It's not anything exciting, but that was where my mother wanted to go. And I thought, well, that's where I'll go. So, I mean, I had my sights on having an ocean view, that kind of thing, and having something nice. But, I just thought, no, I need to be with my mother. So weird. But having these things shown on YouTube, showing these like probe things in the ice, and they said there's over, what was it, 600 or something of them that are in the ice in Antarctic. They wanted something that could reflect, that could not be prohibiting the atoms going out, kind of thing, that would be able to come back and source information, because it needed to be reflective. It needed to have something clear. They said they couldn't use glass, of course, because glass would shatter, but ice is a great amplifier as well. And it's always at a constant temperature. I mean, but has this, as I mentioned, has this affected the fact that there is so much going wrong with the ecosystem of today? You've got ice melting, you've got glaciers just dropping, into the ocean type of thing. It just makes you wonder how much communication is really going on out there that we aren't told about. And everything seems pretty hushed up for my liking. So what are your thoughts on this? I actually captured a photo in my backyard, talking of, hang on, let me see if I can find it for you. This was, hang on, I'll just try and, something's been going really weird with my my phone too. I don't know. It's like I have to use this finger to scroll because this finger, nothing registers. No, I don't think they will tell us. I think you're right there. But I think we should be told. Okay, so, all right. This is one. I don't know whether you can see it. That was a light in the sky. That was broad daylight, mind you, but this thing was so large that the actual lights around it were actually just showing up. Let me just try and take it off battery saver because it keeps dimming. Okay, so that's one photo of the one craft. I've got other photos here. I'll show you this one, see if you can see it. This was taken, oh gosh, is it gonna, okay, can you see that? Look at that coming out of the mountain. Now, a plane would not be going into the mountain or coming out of that mountain. This is in Sydney, in the Blue Mountains. And this thing was coming out of the mountain. So that's another one. Here is that, another, you might get it focusing in a second. Give it a moment. This, oh gosh, why isn't it focusing? Because inside there was like this light bouncing around. I'm trying to get it. Okay. This is so weird. Why isn't it? Okay, see that light down, where is it? With my finger. See there. There is a light that was bouncing around from one to the other. You can see the structure. See that, those bold lines in the middle? Let's see. All right, so that's that one. There's that one again. You can see that where the light moves. Hang on. I'm trying to focus it. So that light there was there. You can see, like, oh gosh, you see the barbs going. They move about. Hang on, I'm just trying. That was right over my home. I'll never forget that. So I'll just turn that. Okay, so I don't know whether you can see this very clear. I've got an arrow drawn near. You'll see it in a second. Once it begins to focus. Come on. Okay, so over, a bit hard to see, but up above that tree is I've got an, over here on this side, I think it is, there. So here I've got it zoomed in more. You see that. Once it focuses. Now, just for the record, these are not dust because I have a camera that actually sends a vibration into the lens and it shakes any dust away. But, yeah, I'll try turning down the brightness. It may make a difference. Here is another one. Now, pay attention to the angle. And that's a ring light you can see in the background. That's not anything. So that is one angle. I don't know whether I can. Okay, go back. All right, so there's that thing again. Whoa. There's that one coming out of the mountain. That's it. Got that light. Okay. It's another one. This thing was just right above me. And the whole sky above me went completely black until it moved. And that's what it ended up like as it was going off. It turned into like all those lights just merged into one. Look at that. Look how bright it is. Okay. Now here's another one. Now you can't tell me that's a plane. There's no way that's a plane. So they are there. And I believe that when you actually go, because it was so weird, because at the time when I was in God, where is it? When I was in the Blue Mountains, I went out there just for a drive. Sometimes I'll go on my own because I like to, sort of like breathe in the country air and everything. And no, well, I'm not anywhere near there now, but that one that was with the black and just the light, that was in my yard. I was taking photos initially of some flowers that were growing on this tree. And I thought, oh, they're so pretty. I'm going to take a photo of them. And all of a sudden, the whole yard just went completely dark. And I thought there was a big dirty cloud. Obviously, you don't think anything. I thought there was a big cloud that had come over the yard and blocked the sun. So I look up only to see these lights, and one little light bouncing around from one to the next. And that was like, it was pulsating. It was actually pulsating. But the actual size of this thing was enormous. It was so big I couldn't see for miles where the actual outside of that thing was. So weird. And there was actually one time there where I was having a look on Google Maps and came across a really bizarre dark shape, and I thought it was more like, it was like triangular, but it was very pointed, and I thought it might have been like that that black aircraft thing that they've got, you know, like the army have or something, or I don't know what it's called, but this black aircraft kind of thing. It's sort of like really pointed and narrow at the top, and you know, it's not a Black Hawk, but it actually, it doesn't have wings like a plane. It's all molded into the one thing, and I thought it was that, but I now wonder if that was what I actually saw. Yeah. So Matt says, I saw an orange glowing ball in the sky that was sitting still. Then it went from one side of the sky to the other in 1/8 of a second, then disappeared into a pin dot. That's exactly as I described those ones that were in that area when I was a kid. They just sort of like went, it was sitting there like a bright light, then it went straight across and then whoosh, off to nothing. So it's amazing. Linda, hi, thank you for joining the live chat. But if anyone there has a story that, like a drone, no, I don't know about a drone. I've actually got a drone and it looks nothing like that. That'd be pretty cool if it did. You know what? These things, though, one thing I will say is that one that was in my backyard, whatever it is, whatever I got those photos of, I had ringing in my ears for about almost a good 6 months. I could not get rid of this annoying ringing sound. And I went to the doctors. I had eardrops. I had everything you could think of. And he said to me, you're the 4th person to come in with ringing in their ears. And he laughed. He said, don't tell me you think you've seen something. And I said, depends what you're talking about. And he said, a UFO? And I said, yeah. And I showed him the photos on my phone because of the fact that I uploaded them. I uploaded them to the page, the Facebook page. And he said, oh, wow. He said, well, that's what everyone's been coming in complaining. They've had this ringing in their ears. And he said, and there's no wax there. Your ears are clean, blah, blah, blah. So there you go. Well, you can replay it again, Linda. So later on, just replay it back into about 30 minutes or so of the video. You've seen a UFO 3 times. This is Kathy Cook. She says, I'm listening but not watching. Very interesting. I've seen a UFO 3 times. It is really fascinating. That Matt, I've got that now. You're making me scared. Who's making you scared? Oh, I hope not me. Well, with these things, I don't know what to say. I feel that there are times we just don't know whether we're also communicating with anything spiritual or alien, because one thing I do know, those ones that were in my living room that time, and when I was lying on the couch and I didn't open, something just said, don't open your eyes, don't look at them. And they basically dripped through the wall, like through the ceiling. I thought it was something running. At first I thought there was a leak, but they were too, you know, when you get, how can I describe it? You know, when you get, you know, that slime. That's probably the best way to describe it. You know, when you get slime and you pick up a bit of slime and then it has like that teardrop shape and you let it just fall down. It's really clumpy at the end. That is how it looked, but they weren't green. I wouldn't even say grey. I would say like more of a bluey colour, like a bluey grey. Okay, so your ears become very sensitive to certain things. Oh, just reading some of the comments there. Yeah, like goo. It looked like goo. But something told me, don't look at them. I have seen many spirits, but none of them ever appeared like that. If anything, there were times where spirits would appear, they would be like leaning forward and then they would manifest, and then they'd lean back and they would dissipate. So it's sort of like, leaning forward, you'd see them appear, and then when they move back, they would disappear. Sort of like stepping through the veil kind of thing, if you want to put it that way. But I don't even know whether it was that. But this was certainly not anything I'd ever seen before. The way that they appeared, they just came through the ceiling. Now, above me was another unit, which was quite bizarre. So one would expect that would be like the ceiling per se, directly to the outside world. But no, that was a person's unit above mine. And so them coming through, it was sort of like, I'm thinking, have they spilt something? Has something, have they left the tub going or something? Really, like you're trying to make logic out of what you're seeing. And then something saying, do not look at them. Do not look at them. And I will never forget, when I could see just through the like slit of my eyes, and I'm just lying there, and I could feel like my whole body was jumping. All the nerves under my skin were I was terrified, because I didn't know what these things were. I just felt like this thing, whatever it was or whoever it was, telling me, do not look, do not look. I don't even know whether it was them. They might have been saying, do not look, do not open your eyes and look, because it was so surreal. And I know I was not asleep. So having that happen, it was just lost for words. But so Janice says, I keep getting vertigo. Now, if you've experienced anything, and you can sort of relate these things, then yeah, maybe it is connection. Who knows? But with the fact that they've got these things out there, let me see if I can find the name of what these are, just so I can tell you more about it, because I don't want to go in without some background. I might even let you hear it. Mountain-sized telescope under a mile of ice. So if you have a look on TEDx Talks, which is what it was on, I might play it in the background here so you can hear it. If I were to obviously show the visual of, maybe I can do a snippet. I don't know how YouTube would work, but I'll put it on anyway. All right.
The universe is full of wonderful, magnificent things. We have colliding galaxies, black holes devouring stars. We have highly energetic explosions. And there are mysteries that we don't understand yet. Humankind has pushed the boundaries of technology to try to unravel these mysteries, to probe these wonders. We have mounted space stations, built particle colliders, and constructed telescopes. This evening, I want to tell you about the coolest telescope in existence.
Telescope.
This telescope is called IceCube, and it's located here at the South Pole.
Sorry,
but you can't actually see it
Antarctic
in this picture because it's 1.5 kilometers to 2.5 kilometers deep underneath the ice. If we could get down there, this is an artist's picture of what we might see. This is our telescope. You might be thinking, how can you have a telescope underneath the ground? How can a telescope that's 1.5, 2.5 kilometers deep, how can such a telescope see anything? And the reason is that this telescope is not trying to detect the light that the universe sends us, but instead we're trying to detect neutrinos from the universe. Neutrinos are elementary particles. They're neutral. They're rather like an electron, but they have no electric charge. Neutrinos are fantastic cosmic messengers because they very rarely interact. They can travel from the edges of the universe and from the most dense objects in the universe. They can travel out of objects so dense that nothing else can escape, no light, no X-rays. So neutrinos, hold up your thumb.
Here we go.
1 second. 100 billion neutrinos pass through your thumb in that second. That's 100,000 million neutrinos pass through your thumb. The source of those neutrinos is our sun.
Now I'm deliberately not getting her all in there because
those
of
neutrinos,
copyright.
they were created in the center of our sun, and they took about 2 seconds to get to the surface, and then around 8 minutes to get to the Earth. Compare that actually to light. The light that's produced in our sun, it takes about 300,000 years to get from the center where it's created out to the surface. And it also takes 8 minutes to get here. But the neutrinos, those 100 billion that are passing through every square centimeter of your body, your thumb is not special. They travel through every square centimeter of your body, and they travel through there day or night, because neutrinos also just pass straight through the Earth. So when you're lying in bed, there'll still be 100 billion neutrinos passing up through the Earth, through your bed, and through every square centimeter of your body every second. So why are neutrinos, how can it be? People always ask, how do neutrinos pass? Well, we have to think about atoms. And New Zealand's most famous son, Ernest Rutherford, discovered that the meat of an atom, the most mass of the atom, 99.9% of the mass of an atom, is contained in its nucleus, which takes up a trillionth of the volume of the atom. The rest of the volume of the atom is taken up with very low mass electrons. So if we scale an atom up to the size of this room, then the nucleus, with essentially all of the mass of the atom, will be a grain of sand in the center of this room. So you can see atoms are essentially empty space. So your thumb, my body, the Earth, is all empty space because we're made of atoms. And an atom, all of its mass is concentrated in a grain of sand with a room of space around it. But of course, it doesn't feel like empty space. It doesn't feel like empty space. It'll look like empty space from where I'm standing here. And that's because the way things feel and the way things look is all fundamentally about interactions between atoms, between particles. So in atoms there are electrons, and electrons don't like being where other electrons are. So when I stamp my foot here on the stage, then the electrons in the atoms in my foot are fighting the electrons in the atoms on the stage. So that's why it feels solid, because of the push between the electrons in my foot and the electrons on the stage. However, neutrinos challenging cosmic messages, because if they don't interact at all, how can we detect them? And so there's the problem. But they barely interact, but barely is not at all. So if we can put enough targets in front of the neutrino, then we have a chance. So we multiply up that small probability by putting a large number of targets in the neutrino. So we want a mountain-sized target to put in front of the neutrino. Now when a neutrino interacts, it produces some charged particles, and those charged particles produce light that we can detect. So when a neutrino interacts, it produces other particles, they produce light, and then the other particles are traveling in the same direction as the neutrino. So if we track the light that is produced by those charged particles, we can work out their direction and then in turn the direction of the neutrinos. So that's what we want to do, and that's what a collaboration, I'm involved with called I.T.C collaboration, that's what we do. So we wanted a large volume of ice, and that's where the South Pole came in. We needed a very mountain-sized target of something transparent, because we want, once the neutrino interacts with the other particles, we want to be able to detect that light. So we need to have something transparent. We could have gone with a kilometre by kilometre block of glass, or a huge tank of water underground. Those are not very feasible and definitely not very cheap. It's better to go with something that already exists, which is the ice at the South Pole. So we have deployed 5,000 light sensors distributed across 80 cables and 60 light sensors per cable across 80 cables at the South Pole. So we have an array of 5,000 light sensors in the very clear ice at the South Pole. To deploy these cables, we first had to melt a hole in the ice. So first we use a normal kind of drill to make a hole, and then a specially developed hot water drill which pumps hot water down into the hole. So what we do, we can't just take the ice out of the hole. It's 2.5 kilometres deep, so that would be a massive hole if it was a dry hole. But what we're actually doing is melting the ice. So we get a 2.5 kilometre cylinder of water, and it takes 2 days to melt each hole, and then we lower the cables, just lower them down with gravity. We lower them down into the holes, and each cable has 60 of these light sensors attached. It takes around 11 hours to lower it down, and we have around 30 hours before the ice starts to refreeze again as we're lowering the cable down. Then it takes around actually a month or more for the ice to completely freeze.
How incredible is that?
Once it's completely frozen.
But what must that be doing to
so the detectors are there
the ice and
now.
the ecosystem?
The detectors are housed in the light sensors here. They're housed in a pressure-resistant glass canister, because when the water refreezes, becomes ice, it expands, and so there's very great pressure. So we had to develop very pressure-resistant glass canisters to house it. There is some computing housed in there, which turns the light detection into an electric signal, which is sent up the cables to computers on the surface. Here in this animation, you can see the principle of how we detect neutrinos. So a neutrino comes in and creates a charged particle that travels through our detector, producing light that we detect with the sensors. So I'll just play it again. So you see a neutrino, it was an interaction producing the charged particle that traveled through our detector, producing light. Here, each of the tiny black dots that you can see is one of our light sensors, one of the 5,000. And then the size of the sphere shown there is showing how much light was detected by each sensor that detected light. And the color shows the timing, with red being the first sensors to get light and green being the last. So you can just see visually that's what we have as a recording. We don't actually see anything.
And there's the Eiffel Tower, just to give you a
recording. But you can see how from that
size
we
reference,
can reconstruct
a
the
comparison
direction of the charged particle and of the neutrino. So that's what we're doing. Earlier I mentioned that the sun is a prolific producer of neutrinos. That's not actually the only source of neutrinos on Earth. Things like nuclear reactors, radioactive decays in the center of the Earth, radioactive decays in our own body, we all produce around 340 million neutrinos per day, each of us. But none of those neutrinos are the neutrinos that we're after. We're after neutrinos that come from the highest energy regions of the universe, and they have probably 1 million to 1 trillion times more energy than the neutrinos produced in radioactive decays or from the sun. So the motivation for us in constructing IceCube was to find the source of the highest energy cosmic rays. So cosmic rays are charged particles, mostly protons, and there are cosmic rays which have 1 million times more energy than anything we've ever created on Earth, and actually likely to ever be able to create on Earth. 1 million times more energy than anything we have created, continuously bombarding our Earth. So don't worry, they can't harm you. They are radiation. They can't harm you because luckily the Earth's atmosphere protects us. That energy is dissipated
for the moment.
In the atmosphere. We would love to know where these charged particles come from, where these extremely energetic particles come from. If we did know where they come from, we could study those high energy sources. It would be a high energy laboratory for us. We'll be able to test our theories of physics, how things work in these extreme environments. These are environments 1 million times more energetic than our sun. The trouble is we don't know where these cosmic rays come from. It might be something like an exploding star or objects devouring other objects, but we don't know. You might think that we could just point our telescopes in the direction that the charged particles came from. And while we can detect the direction that the charged particles come as they come into the atmosphere, the trouble is they're charged, and charged particles are bent in magnetic fields. So even though we can detect the direction that they come into our atmosphere, that doesn't tell us where they come from because there are magnetic fields spread throughout the universe, throughout our galaxy. So although we can detect them, we don't know where they're coming from. So we know there's something out there producing all this energy, but we don't know what it is or where it is. But what we want is a neutral particle, neutrino, because neutral particles are not affected by magnetic fields.
So you get an idea.
Neutrinos should be produced
I'll just stop
in
that.
the same places that.
You get an idea of what's going on. It's very fascinating to think that this is all happening now. This is what's going on around us. They're saying, okay, it's not hurting the ice, it's not hurting us. But with all these things they're melting the ice, they're drilling through the ice. People think, okay, well, that ice can, reform or resculpt itself, that type of thing. But look at the ecosystem. Many people think that, we don't need wolves, but we need wolves. We need wolves to maintain an ecosystem. There was one thing that I actually saw once where they decided to take wolves out of one area. It ended up that all the greenery, all the life and flora and what have you, it died off. Well, not necessarily died off, but it was eaten away by other predators like deers and stuff like that. And then once they brought the wolves back in, they balanced the ecosystem in that area and things began to flourish again. So little things, everything, every life itself, every life source has to balance out. And we're here because we have to balance something as well. But it looks like man, in my opinion, is destroying, not balancing. I am amazed at, look, we're sending people into space, that type of thing, and it's all fascinating. But you also have to ask, what are we doing to the ozone layer? Every time they shoot a rocket through that ozone layer, it is breaking it apart. It is beginning to affect us. And this is why I feel you look at things that are beyond human capability. Like, think about how the pyramids line up with certain planets and so on, and it's tying in to a universal structure. Everything is linked. I believe that we are also linked somewhat to alien. I once read that their aliens have a plant chemistry in their body, as well as a type of flesh kind of thing. I can't remember where it was. I think actually it might have been something I saw, so don't quote me on it, but it was a fascinating discovery. They actually sent off this sample or some bloody thing. I think it was actually, oh gosh, I wish I had written it down. But you'll be able to do your research anyway. I do recommend, instead of just listening to my views on it and what I think about it, do some research, because it all affects us in some way. I just got told to go to sleep. I've got this new sleep app on my phone, and it just said go to sleep. But yeah, so does anyone have anything that they want to talk about? I mean, like what you just saw then, is there anything that you want to discuss, you know, or point out that you found interesting in that topic? And you have to forgive my nose. I got burnt. We've got really hot sun here, so I've got to be careful. I usually don't go in the sun, but I got burnt. Anyway. So what we were watching was titled A Mountain-Sized Telescope Under a Mile of Ice. Jenny Adams, Jenny with an I, not a Y. Adams with one D. And she's on TEDx Talks. So I do recommend watch it, because it is quite fascinating. The fact that they are, because she actually goes on, I'll sort of play it in the
these cosmic rays are produced, and the
there's only a few minutes to go.
That we want to detect then should be able to point back and tell us where these cosmic rays are coming from.
Okay.
So this is our aim with IceCube is to locate, detect neutrinos coming from the highest regions of the universe and allow them to point back and show us where they're coming from. So we have actually detected, so IceCube, because it's at Antarctica, it could only be constructed during summer months, so when it's light in Antarctica. And so it took us 7 years to construct it, from 2004 to 2010. So in 2010 it was completed, and we've been taking data with it since then. And we have detected some really high energy neutrinos. So remember, again, here you can see these black dots that are showing the extent of our detector. They're each of the sensors, and it's a kilometre by kilometre by kilometre. And so this is light spread over that region that has been created by a neutrino. So this is an extremely energetic neutrino, and we have detected around 40 of these neutrinos, and we've detected their direction. And so far, when we've looked in those directions, we haven't been able to see any known object that's been detected with light or X-rays in those directions. It might be because
notice the pattern on her shirt as well.
The objects themselves are very faint, and we can't actually see light. Or maybe those objects are surrounded by dense material so that light can't get out. But now we have those directions, and we are pointing other kinds of telescopes, gamma ray telescopes, which get really high energy photons, to see, now that we have the direction, to see if they can see anything. And we are taking more data, because we only have around 40 of these high energy neutrinos that we are sure have come from actual physical objects. So we only have 40 of these so far. So if we are going to take more data, and we hope that with more that we might be able to get some clustering that will really show us particular directions to look. So although we don't know where they came from, we can still speculate. We believe it could be, as I mentioned, one of these black holes that's devouring material around it, and as it devours it, it creates a swirling mass of matter around it, which we already know does produce high energy radiation. We don't know if it produces where the charged cosmic rays are coming from.
That's
it could be something called a gamma ray burst, which releases in just a minute the amount of energy that the sun will release over its entire lifetime. And so in that minute, it outshines anything else in the universe. There could be these gamma ray bursts that are producing the cosmic rays. But so far, we haven't seen any relationship between our neutrinos and
how do we know it's nothing to do with
do think
aliens?
That the neutrinos have come from outside our own galaxy. That's because we haven't seen anything nearby that has the sort of energies that we would need. And also the direction that the neutrinos we have seen is spread out over all of the space and not correlated with the plane of our galaxy. The plane of our galaxy is what you see when you look at the Milky Way in the sky. So if they were coming from our own galaxy, we would expect to see them clustering in the direction of the Milky Way, but they're not. So we're not sure what it is that's producing, but we're still looking. So the message I want to share with you now is that neutrinos are opening a new window on the universe. And soon we hope we will have a laboratory for studying high energy physics and for developing our theories for the way matter interacts at these highest energies. And with that understanding will then perhaps become new technologies as well. Thank you.
That I found really fascinating because the fact that she didn't really say anything, but you could actually tell she was hinting that there was something that they couldn't explain, which was not from our world. So, in not so many words. I mean, think about black holes as well. We hear about so many people that have gone into what looks like a time warp, if you want to put it that way, where they've lost count of time, and things like that go on here on Earth. So who's to say there aren't black holes on Earth? Things that are like stepping into a different portal. There have been people who've actually gone, they've been walking through the woods and that, come across a house that was not there, and they'd been that path so many times, and then all of a sudden there's this house. There have been people who've been driving, stay in a hotel, and they notice that everyone's dressed differently to what they are, and they think it's just their part of like a theme type of thing to go with the hotel. But then they go back to that hotel only to find it gone. Maybe they're stories, maybe they're real, who knows? But have you ever had a moment where you have, and I think we all have personally, where we've gone to do something and sometimes you think, I've only spent a few minutes doing something, and then you look at the time, you think, oh my God, the time has just flown. It's often because I believe that we get caught up in something. Yeah, that's right, Linda. Strange but True series. Yes, that was where it's incredible. I mean, time, there was a time where I actually got up one morning. I always get up early anyway, and was doing my normal everyday preparation, beginning to do my pre-reads, just writing down things coming to me for whatever time my bookings were. And I looked up and it was going so slow. It was like I was almost in power mode, if you want to put it that way. I was going through things really fast. And then there's this particular time I'm thinking, my God, the day is just dragging. It's going forever. I've already done all my housework. I've got everything out of the way. And then you've got days where you can blink your eye and you're in a couple of hours ahead. Have you ever had occasions, think about this as an example. You've been hungry and you want to go and grab something to eat from the fridge. So you go to the fridge and you think, what am I doing here? I'm not hungry. Who's to say that in that time something hasn't stopped your time here? I mean, it's worth the investigation. It's worth questioning, because life itself is very fascinating all the time. Yeah, I can sort of relate to that, but, you know, you've got to ask yourself, where did that hunger go? Why am I suddenly not feeling any appetite? It can't just happen like that. And if it does, why doesn't it happen like that all the time? Why do we constantly have hunger pangs or, you know, things like that? And then we go to the fridge and we're starving, or we're, you know, we can't wait for dinner, that type of thing, and we're preparing. But then you've got these cases where you're completely full. It's like, what happened in that time? There's something just went by. Okay, that was weird. Because 1 minute I was just talking and I saw something go right past me really quickly. Hello, Vimit. So it is interesting. I think maybe what we should do is a little bit of a sort of like an exercise, if you want to put it like that. Write down whenever you have these moments, like in a week. Keep a diary of it. Write down on your personal calendar, on your phone or whatever, the moments where you've felt hungry and then all of a sudden there's no hunger, or you've noticed how quickly time has gone, or you're seeing things as well. And I think about also going back to the way these things that they're drilling into the ice and whatever they're putting out there to try and reach some type of contact, you've got to ask, what is it their ultimate goal is? What is the purpose of these probe things? What is it that they are really genuinely wanting to have as a result, as an end result? They're giving us the bits and pieces, but I think we need answers. Now, there are also other channels on here that you can actually look at. Sometimes, like, what's it, Phase of the Moon? They've got some really interesting stuff, and I personally believe that NASA do watch them because they're getting in some information very quick. They've got like a bit of a loophole with some people in other areas, other, you know, places that seem to sort of grab the information and then get it out there to the public. But then you've got NASA trying to hush everything up. You think about what they did when they had, you know, the UFO crash type of thing, and then they were like, no UFO crash, but then why are they keeping people away from the area? Even till today, why have they zoned that area out? What is it that they're not telling us? What is it that, like, they've even got places, I think that you've probably seen the videos where people go to investigate that area, and it's got even people patrolling, soldiers with guns and everything. Area 51, that's it. They've got people patrolling the area, telling them to turn around and go back. Now, these people could be shot. There have been reports from people who were actually there at Area 51 who stated that there have been aliens that they were working with, and they actually work in the area. So there is the contact. And then you wonder, what about these people who have lost their lives, who have actually spoken up? Yeah, that's right, Linda. It is really, it's scary actually, because Mary wrote, I come in peace. She's got these signs. It is fascinating, but, you know, I do believe in aliens, but I also believe in God. And this is another side of things as well, because you think there's got to be a universal connection. Who's to say that some of our angels also aren't aliens? Because there are times where I've seen what present to me as angels, but they don't have wings. And they do say that aliens can form any type of appearance. How do you know I'm not one? How do I know you're not one? You know, how many people have come into doppelgangers? Are these doppelgangers aliens? Are they spirits? Are aliens spirit? You know, there's a whole big, you know, it's amazing when you think about we're never going to have all the answers. I thought so, Kathy. I had that figured. No, I'm joking. She wrote, I'm an alien. But all I think Riley is. Anyway, but I really do think we're not meant to have all the answers. That's bottom line. Once we have all the answers, what's the point? What else is there to actually do? What else is there to find out? I think it would be awful to hi Madge, to have all the answers. I think it'd be horrible because there's no mystery left. And I think that's the wonderful thing about life, is the mystery that goes with it. So does anyone have any questions? Not that I've got all the answers, but do you have any questions? Someone's talking. I want to play you something too I caught today. See if you can hear what's being said. Now, I asked about, you know, should we move? Have a listen to this. I'll see if I can turn it up a bit. How would you feel if we moved out of here, spirits? Now listen to this. Don't get upset with me. Don't know whether you can hear it. I'll have to amplify that. Hang on. Okay. Still a bit low. Let me try and amplify that a bit more. You probably didn't hear that last week because there was a bit of swearing there. I think they're upset that if I move, I'll leave them here. So, because I'm considering moving. I don't know, but if we do, then that means there's going to be a period where there's not going to be any streaming or anything like that. But when doing spirit box sessions, I feel like the harmonic voices coming through are aliens. You know, you don't know. This is the thing. We don't know who we're communicating with. That's number one. anything that is external to our environment may actually be alien. And speaking of spirit box, let's do one. So really quickly, I'm going to ask if there are any aliens who can come through and communicate. Can you do so by using this? Are there any aliens around? Can you say alien if you can hear me? Can you say aliens? Hit it very lightly. Alien? Can you say alien, please, loudly? And just make sure that's... Where is it? I'm going to turn that off so you can see the antenna is off. See the light there? That is off. So if there are any aliens, can you say alien? Can I talk to those who are external to this environment? Can you say alien through this, please? I keep saying alien. Probably, isn't it? Can you say alien? Can you say alien through this? Are there any aliens who can communicate with us tonight? Any extraterrestrials? Can you say hello? Can you say hello? Can you say alien really loudly? I don't know whether they said it then. Who's this? Can you say? Tell me if you can hear it, because sometimes this... Did you say alien? All right, I'm going to try something else. Okay, sorry. That annoys me. Let's see if I can get anything on the PSP7. So I've got this going. Okay, if there is anyone who is an extraterrestrial? Can you say alien, please? Can you say alien? Am I coming through garbled by any chance? Can you say alien if there is anyone linked to the extraterrestrial? Can you say alien? What is your name? What is your name? Are you an alien? We can't speak on this. We are refrained from speaking. Are there any aliens who I can talk to through this? If you say yes. My name's Karen. Are there any aliens that I can communicate with through this? Yes? Did you say yes? Oh, really? Oh. So, where are you from? Are you linked to Earth? To Earth? Are you linked to Earth? Are you? Yes. Okay. Are you from the middle star? Isn't that from Men in Black? Hey, if there is an alien talking to me, can you tell me were there aliens that came through my ceiling? How many were there? How many were there? Morning, Kim. How many were there that came through my ceiling? Say the number out loud. Were there any around me when I was little, or were they just dreams? Do you know me? My name's Karen. Do you know my birth name? consolation. I'm green. No. Come on. I'm green. God. You guys are having me on. I'll turn up the... Are there any spirits that can communicate with aliens here? Are you serious? Rat bags? I'll have to replay it.
Yeah.
You're here? How many are here? Did I look green? Really? You know, I've actually got this connected directly to the internet now, not on Wi-Fi. Wow. It's weird. I can't see it my end. All I can see is the burn on my nose from the sun because my skin's so sensitive. Hello. Are there aliens present?
Yeah.
What is your name? Doot. Doot. Your name's Doot. Can you repeat that? What is your name? Can you say Doot? What's your name? Doot. Say it again. Say it again. Say your name again. Say your name again. Who's Doot? Doot. Doot. They're saying Doot. Doot. What is Doot? Okay. So your name is Doot. Okay. What planet are you from, Doot? What planet are you from? Oh, I have crosses form all over my place. I've got photos of it too. I had a cross form on the wall. Doot, are you still with me? Doot, what? Doot again. Doot, where are you from? Are you from Earth? Are you from Earth? Doot, can you hear me? Say your name again. It's fascinating. Say your name again, please. Yeah, look at this. See the cross?
Good. Yep.
That appeared on a wall one night. Doot, are you male or female? Are you male or female? Was that female? What is your what do they call it? What is your tribal background, or what is your what is it? What group do you belong to? Are you a grey alien? Are you something else? If anyone wants to transcribe this, go ahead. Okay, what group do you belong to? What rank are you? What level? 8? Let's see. Are you in charge of anybody? Doot. I keep hearing Doot. Doot, are you in charge of anybody? What dimension are you? What dimension are you from? Doot. What dimension are you from, Doot? Linda. Did you say heaven? Doot. Doot. What do you look like? What color is your skin? What color is your skin? If you have to describe your skin color to me, what is it? It's like another language altogether. What is your skin color, Doot? Now, they say that aliens are very intelligent. Doot, are you intelligent? Doot, are you an intelligent being? Very. Have you visited us on Earth? Have you visited us? France? Okay. Have you taken any people on a craft? Have you taken anybody? What do you do with people? Do you experiment on people? Some, I thought I heard. What interests you about us? What interests you about the human race? What interests you about the human race, Doot? Do you use our spirit for energy or our souls? Do you use our spirit or our souls for energy? It's a good question, Mary. Doot, what? Do you use our soul or spirit for energy? Doot. Doot. What does your name mean? What is the meaning of your name? What is it? What does your name mean? Do you have to follow rules? You do. Who makes your rules? No. So you don't have to follow rules, but others do. Can you affect my screen? Can you change its color or anything? Can you make anything change on my screen? Tell me if anything happens. So what does your name mean? Can you try to explain? They're after you, Matt. Watch out. I've got someone for you. Really? No, I don't. Can you say Matt? Can you say hello, Matt? Matt. Matt wants to go for a ride. Matt, what have I done? I think you're safe, Matt. Is Matt safe? You're safe. Did you hear that? You're safe. How old are you, Doot? Was that 317? Are you trying to tell me you're 317? Doot, how old are you? How old are you, Doot? 3, 1. Seven. Okay, this is getting weird. Doot, what color eyes do you have? What's that mean? What color eyes do you have? Can you change your eyes? Do you have eyes? Black. Okay, your eyes are black, are they? Do you have children? Yes, children. Do you have children? Family? Do you have children? Yes or no? Yeah. Your visit. Did you hear that? Visit. Are you going to visit me? Oh God, I'm going. I'm going to go up in the ship. Have you got anything for sunburn, Doot? Look out. I've got a new man on my... I'll be dating an alien. So where are we going for our date, Doot? You don't know. I should be serious about this. I just can't help it. Doot. Doot, yes. What are you doing? Okay. Yes, Doot, I hear you. Da 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 da. Bait. Oh, this is so funny. Are there any aliens? No, I know. I know. Are there any aliens that run our country? Are there any aliens that run our country? Are there any in charge of our country? Wow. Are there such thing as reptilians? Can you say reptilians if they exist? Are the royal family reptilians? Can you say reptilian? Doot. Is Hillary Clinton a reptilian? I'm trying. I really am trying. Oh, Trump is President Trump a reptilian? Is President Trump a reptilian? Is that a yes? Oh. Trump. He's saying Trump. Yes, Trump. Oh, I've got goosebumps. Okay. Is he going to be voted out? Was the Australian flu man-made? Flu. Yes. Was it man-made? No. Can you say hello in your language, Doot? Aniti. Did you say Beniti or Aniti? How do you say hello in your language? Knit. Hi, Net. Net. Do you know what we call nits? They're called head lice things. You know, they're the eggs. Are you sure you don't have another term for hello? Nit. Nit, noot. Nit, doot. Oh. Nit, doot. Mary, stop it. Okay, sorry. Nit. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna get it together. Okay. Doot. All right, now let me get this straight. Doot. To say hello, you say nit. Yeah. Nit. All right. Nit, doot. You gonna say hello back to me? Nit. It's really taken a lot out of me. How do you say goodbye? Ra, grit. Ra. How do you say goodbye? Goodbye. How do you say goodbye? Was that just bye? Okay. Knit. Well, I don't want any more knits. So you can stop saying knit to me. Okay? Because we're gonna say goodbye now. You say goodbye. I'll talk to you another time. Doot. Sure. Okay. Bye-bye. Knit. I'm going. On that note, I'm going. Thank you. So what do you think of that? Oh, my God. I just kept shouting out, knit, knit. I have never tried to contact through a spirit box aliens or anything like that. Maybe it was just pareidolia, who knows? But I just found it so ironic that they come out with Doot so many times in confirmation. So that, yeah, Mary, oh, you've got to stop. I'm getting stitches. Look, my sunburn is getting brighter. My look, poor nose, silly sun. Anyway, Well, that's our live stream for tonight. It's gone for just on 2 hours, so I hope you've all had a good time. If you can, or if anyone there wants to annotate, I'll leave it open for you to put in an annotation. So that would be great. So you can put some subtitles up and let us know what you think is being said. Feel free to copy any parts of this video. I have no objection, and using it as a way of, transcribing or what have you. But I hope you did have a good night. And next week, hopefully, we'll have order on so we can discuss a few other things. But I really enjoyed having you all tonight and discussing something out of the ordinary. So thank you for joining me. I'm going to go now and put some stuff on this sunburn. So take care. Bye.